Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight over ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave?
Welcome to Update Williamson, Williamson Inc.'s first attempt at a feature-length film focused on the resilience of Williamson County, exploring how we are managing, adapting, and innovating through these unprecedented times and providing the reasons why our community is uniquely suited to prosper in a post-COVID economy. If you plan to post on social media this morning, use the hashtag #UpdateWilliamson so you can make all your friends jealous you're at a 2-hour-long documentary on economic development. We are incredibly grateful to our host today, AP Live's The Field at Franklin. We will hear from AP Live's CEO, Tom Atema, later in this program on how he created this new venue for our community. We're also thankful for our sponsors whose continued support made today's event possible. Thank you for sticking with us and investing in our organization. Please stay tuned for a brief video from Middle Tennessee Electric.
From major weather events to national pandemics to the successful merger with the Murfreesboro Electric Department, Middle Tennessee Electric has met this year's challenges by focusing on our core mission: to provide affordable, reliable, safe electricity and outstanding member service. Our cost to members is quite low compared to the rest of Tennessee, and it's 25% lower than the national average. Plus, we're always looking at new ways to save and pass those savings on to you. We are constantly and safely upgrading our system with the latest technology. MTE is regularly in the top quartile for our industry in reliability. And this year, electric power has been available more than 99.9% of the time for our members. MTE continuously measures member satisfaction, and our satisfaction index has been climbing steadily. No matter what happens in the world around us, Team MTE will be ready to serve you, as we have for more than 80 years, to make the lives of our members better.
Our economic foundation in Williamson County is really built on the strength of our public school systems and really the entire education ecosystem in Williamson County. It's really important around talent retraction. It's the reason why companies move here, to attract the talent. Talent moves here because of the schools. At one of our recent CEO roundtables, one of the participants on the call said the future of economic development could be talent attraction rather than just corporate attraction. If that's the case, Williamson County is set up to prosper because our schools are the #1 reasons why families move to our community. We have had great leadership from both of our superintendents, Jason Golden with Williamson County Schools and Dr. David Snowden from Franklin Special School District. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. David Snowden, who is superintendent of the Franklin Special School District, in his portion of our State of the Schools address.
Good morning, and welcome to this opportunity to utilize adaptive capacity. I have to admit, I've had the privilege of delivering many of these State of the Schools addresses in the past, but this is the first to do it through video. So we're excited, and we hope you're excited as well. Since March, we all as individuals and organizations were forced to delve deeper into our capacity to adapt to the rapidly changing environment. As we began to collaborate as a district leadership team, we discussed all planning in the terms of being imperfect, because we knew change would be the norm and not the exception. The consistent theme around today's remarks will be around the message of we can do better, we must do better. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Matt Largent and Williamson Inc. for this opportunity to speak about the FSSD and where we are currently in our operation during this pandemic. I would also like to thank and recognize our Board of Education for the support they provided during these tumultuous times. As we have continued to state, we're educators. We're not healthcare professionals, and we continue to depend on our excellent partnership with the Williamson County Health Department for support and guidance. We would also like to thank Mayor Moore, Mayor Anderson, the Emergency Management Agency, and all city and county departments for all of their support. We also appreciate the collaboration opportunities with Jason Golden and his WCS team during these times. In addition, I have to mention our partnerships with GraceWorks, One Gen Away, the United Way, and the Nook. They have continued to be invaluable as we support our students and our families. Even though we want to focus on where we are today, I believe it's important to compare and contrast the FSSD's response in the early stages of the pandemic to where we are now. I want to publicly acknowledge the work of all of our teachers, staff members, and all the administrators for their work prior and during the extended closure, during the summer as the Return to Learn plan for 2020 was developed, and now that we're back in school. Our principals and assistant principals have been amazing. They've had to be extremely creative in scheduling the operation of their schools in order to focus on the important aspect of teaching and learning while also providing as safe and secure environment as possible. In June, as we began the initial discussions about what our Return to Learn Plan 2020 would include, we all agreed how proud we all were of the positive aspects of our response, but that we could and would have to do better. Let's talk about instruction first. Early on, we made a conscious decision to not teach new standards, new material, and to concentrate on the reinforcement of the standards that had previously been taught earlier than the 1920 school year. This was done partially to not knowing how long the closure would last and the lack of training for all teachers in how to effectively teach virtually. We did have many teachers who taught Zoom classes during the extended closure, and those sessions were very positive and very engaging. We did have all of our online resources available, and our teachers did a great job of preparing instructional packets for students who were not able to participate virtually. Currently and moving forward in the future, new standards are being taught for those who are enrolled in the virtual learning model, and of course, those who are attending in person. This will be the same if we ever have to go completely remote in the future. And we're all hoping that is never the case again, but we have to be prepared. All teachers have professional learning related to how to effectively and efficiently teach virtually during the summer. And those who are teaching virtually are doing an amazing job. The training and support by our instructional technology specialists continues as we strive for continuous improvement in the area of virtual learning. We've had a few issues related to connectivity, but for the most part, it's been a very positive experience for both students and teachers. And teaching virtually, I might add, is not easy, but our teachers continue to improve as they get more experience and additional support. Approximately 75% of our students are back in person, while approximately 25% of our students are virtual learners. All parents were given the choice on whether to have their children return to in-person learning or to use the virtual model. Let's talk about technology devices and connectivity, which are obviously so important in the virtual learning world. Early during the extended closure, we only had enough one-to-one devices for students in grades 4 through 8. So our younger students didn't have the capability to participate virtually. Also, we had many students in grades 4 through 8 who didn't have Wi-Fi. So that was a challenge we never completely overcame, even though we constantly searched to secure access for those students. Currently, over the summer, additional devices were purchased so that all K through 8th graders would have a device. Our K2 students have a Chrome tablet, and our students in grades 3 through 8 have a Chromebook. Also, we were able to purchase hotspots for families who had no internet access for use with their school-based devices. During the extended closure, and now we use Google Classroom as our digital platform, and all the digital resources such as For example, iReady, Imagine Learning, and all the core content resources remain available. That's for both our virtual students and our in-person students. Let's discuss another important aspect, and that's the social emotional support for our students. Early on during the extended closure, we were concerned and continue to have concerns about the social and emotional needs of our students during the time when they're away from their friends, from their teachers. But our teachers made the effort to check on their students through Zoom calls, emails, phone calls, and even home visits. We had teachers that went to students' homes, even though they couldn't go in the home. They carried signs and they brought gifts of candy and other trinkets. So this was really important. We had pictures and have pictures of teachers doing that. Also, many of the schools held parades through neighborhoods to demonstrate how much they loved and how much they missed their students. Currently, we're continuing to try to do what we can to support. We spent a lot of time this summer discussing how important it would be to provide the social, emotional support to our students and staff first before even trying to make any progress in the academic world. So those efforts to build and maintain relationships continue, and our teachers who are teaching virtually are creatively working on strategies to build those relationships online. Most of you have probably heard this statement, and we believe it's absolutely true. Students don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Our teachers do a phenomenal job of not only teaching, but loving and nurturing their students. Another area we're very proud of is our student meal service. On March the 18th, during spring break, Robin Cross, our child nutrition supervisor, received permission to proceed with providing meals to those 19 and 18 and younger in our community. The child nutrition employees were able to deliver meals on both March the 19th and the 20th. The first day of full student meal service, which included both delivery and our 2 grab-and-go sites, started on March the 23rd. We're so thankful for the service provided by our child nutrition employees and some of our bus drivers who helped deliver food. From March the 19th through May the 21st, 103,484 meals were served to students in the Franklin-Williamson County area. Ladies and gentlemen, this was a phenomenal effort, and we're very proud of what our folks did during that time. When the summer feeding began after May the 23rd, approximately 85,000 meals were served in June and July. Today, we continue to provide meal pickup for students who are virtual learners. On August the 10th, we brought our pre-K through grade 2 students and other small groups of students back to in-person learning. The virtual learning model and our remote model with all the rest of the students started then as well. 2 weeks later, we brought the remainder of our students, those in grades 3 through 8, back to in-person learning. We believe we were able to do this primarily due to the planning and the implementation of our Return to Learn 2020 plan, which set forth several mitigation protocols based upon guidance from the CDC and the state and local health officials to help keep our students and all of our employees as safe as possible by keeping the virus spread low. We believe these mitigation protocols that continue today have been instrumental in allowing us to offer in-person learning. The protocols include temperature screening of all students and staff prior to entering into a school or a school building, requirement of the wearing of a face covering by all staff, students, and visitors, social distancing, routine and consistent hand washing and sanitization, consistent cleaning of frequently touched surfaces. And I have to take this opportunity to brag on our custodians for all the work they've done in this effort. They're accustomed to doing a great job just cleaning, but their efforts in the sanitization of our schools and our frequently touched surfaces has been just tremendous, and we're very appreciative of their efforts. As we do during other virus seasons, we continue to ask for parents to keep their children home when they're sick. We also request the same for all employees. The response by our students, parents, and employees to follow these protocols has been overwhelmingly positive. We were a little concerned early on, about students, with the younger students have trouble keeping their mask on or following protocols, but they've been tremendous. Our students have been doing a great job in wearing their mask and following all the protocols. We also very much appreciate the support by the entire community for helping to keep the spread low so that we could physically return and remain in school. We've had positive cases, and both students and staff members have been quarantined by the health department. But for the most part, school is going well, and we are happy for the opportunity to have students in school, which we believe provides the best teaching and learning environment. As I end my remarks today, I would be remiss not to address one additional area. At some point, COVID-19 will become, we hope, under control and will have less of an impact on all of our lives. However, the relationships we have with each other are important to all of us and will continue to be important to all of us if we're going to continue to prosper as a community. We all have to look within ourselves to be better. You may be asking, what does this have to do with education? My response, and I say, it has everything to do with education. Schools are microcosms of society, and we all should work to be role models for our youth in demonstrating and promoting kindness, respect, tolerance, equality, and love for our fellow man. As I prepared for my remarks today, as a longtime Rotarian, I was reminded of the four-way test recited at every meeting regarding the importance of the things that we think, the things that we say, and the things that we do. Number one, is it the truth? Number two, is it fair to all concerned? Number three, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And number four, will it be beneficial to all concerned? I submit to you today that if we all apply those principles to the way we live each day, we will be better and we must do better. Thank you. Now I have the opportunity and welcome the opportunity to welcome my good friend, Jason Golden, Superintendent of Williamson County Schools.
School may look different this year, and we are all continuing to adjust at every turn. It's easy to talk only about the challenges of COVID-19 because it's had such a big impact on us. We're going to talk about that, but that's not the only thing we're going to talk about. As a district, we are serving approximately 40,000 students. That's a decrease of about 1,300 since this time last year. Public schools have generally seen a reduction in numbers this year as parents either worry about exposure to COVID-19 or don't want their children to go through the safety protocols we've had to implement. Locally and nationally, some private and public schools have had to go back and forth from on campus to remote due to the impact of the virus. Still, even with this, we opened a new school this year, Legacy Middle School, which brings our total number of schools to 49. Legacy is in a great spot in the Oakview area and has recently increased the convenience for middle school parents in that area, not having to travel either to Page or to Heritage Middle. We have hired about 350 new teachers this year, which is comparable to most school years. There's a teacher shortage nationally and in Tennessee, but we continue to employ the best and brightest. We still have many vacancies in the areas of special education teacher assistants and substitute teachers. Our biggest challenge this year was in quickly offering a choice to our families, the choice to attend school on campus or the choice to attend school online. When we started planning for this year, it was apparent that many families were nervous about being on campus. We knew we needed to offer a fully online option, even though this wasn't even part of our strategic plan and would ordinarily take years to prepare to do it perfectly. We had 6,700 students who wanted to participate in WCS Online, which is comparable to the enrollment of about 3.5 of our largest high schools. That's about 17% of our total student body. We have worked through startup challenges at every level, from staffing to schedules, instructional materials to technology. This is only our third year with WCS Online. Previously, the program served about 500 high school students who were taking 1 or 2 additional courses. In a matter of weeks, we implemented a full online K through 12 school, and we've had struggles. While our instructional staff believed they could get schedules put together in less than 2 weeks, it proved to be too much. We weren't able to get staffing and scheduling completed to the point we wanted. We couldn't hire new teachers because they're just not available. So we needed to staff each specialization with our current teachers. At the elementary schools, we were able to assign groups. At the middle and high schools, because teachers are licensed for subject areas, it's a mix of fully online and blended work schedules. This has been a challenge for some of our students at the middle and high grades who chose online and have teachers who are also teaching on campus. Much of their learning is asynchronous, like many college online classes. You may remember that we had families commit to a semester of either on-campus learning or online learning. The same will be true for next semester, but we are better prepared. That process will conclude in October, which will give us the time we need to make sure staff is in place for on-campus and online learning for the second semester. And schedules for students will be confirmed before the start of that second semester. We know students learn best when receiving direct instruction from their teachers, but we want to respect this need for so many of our families to be online. When appropriate, we will return WCS online to its pre-COVID operation for upper grades and for supplemental courses for students. Needless to say, our on-campus start of school looked a little different this year. We began August 7th with our youngest learners on campus and grades 3 through 12 learning remotely. After seeing a steady decline in the number of COVID cases in our community through those first 2 weeks, we began phasing in the rest of our traditional learners, starting with 3rd through 5th graders. 6th and 9th graders returned next, followed by students in 7th, 8th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grades. We're proud of how that process worked. Yes, schools may look a little different this year, but then again, some things never change. The excitement of starting a new school year was on full display as students returned to campus. Here are some sights and sounds from our phased opening of school.
Today's gonna be a great day, sun's shining, kids are showing up. It's gonna be a great first day.
Oh, here comes one.
We have missed them so much.
We are really excited to have them back, and we think they're probably pretty excited too. I have a feeling they've missed us.
Oh my goodness, we have a problem. It says amazing. It's supposed to give me a number.
We're so excited you're here. I know lots of schools say it, but we truly are a family.
We're so excited to have all of our Tigers back on campus.
Are you more ready or is he more ready?
I don't care if he's ready.
He's getting out of the car.
Have you got your temp taken? Awesome. Hey, elbow, foot. You want a foot bump too? Awesome. There we go.
It's great to see everybody again. I know the teachers were so excited to get to see their students.
I told JT last night, I said, it's like Christmas. He said, well, that's weird. That's weird.
Yeah, you have all the butterflies that you had when you were a student. You still get those as a teacher.
It's going to be really fun to have the halls full today.
Oh, the dog wants its temp taken. I'm gonna have to, oh, you are perfect. I'm gonna take your temp.
You're good too.
Hey, did you get your locker open Friday?
First try.
Look at you. You're amazing.
The first one of 2020. I'm so excited to see you, Gray. How I've missed you.
Awesome. Love your family.
We did it. You're finally here. Look at those pretty flowers. We've got great kids and really great families.
This whole thing works because the three of those people work well together. Parents, teachers, kids.
Are you excited? Have you missed me? Yeah.
Their parents have trusted us to take care of the most valuable thing that they have.
Max, it should tell me a number, but it just said you're awesome. What in the world?
I'm so excited to see you guys back.
One day down, 176. Not that we're counting.
Hey, Vince, good morning, bird.
All right, you're good to go.
Have a good day.
Woohoo! It's gonna be fun.
Boom.
Yee!
There are a number of challenges to doing traditional school during a global pandemic. School may look different, but our students, staff, and schools continue to evolve and achieve. Our school board and county commission made sure we had the funding to jump into technology when this pandemic hit. We were able to assign a Chromebook to every student, kindergarten through 12th grade, well ahead of our strategic plan. We have had some technology challenges in WCS Online and for remote learning. We were asking teachers to teach like most have never taught before. And even though we provided professional development, it has been a challenge for many. There are many areas in Williamson County that do not have good internet service or internet at all. So we provided all students with those Chromebooks, and we made hotspots or Khajiits available for teachers or families who needed them. On top of that, there was the process of learning a new learning management system called Schoology. That system was piloted at Independence High School, Brentwood Middle, and in the 5th grades at Lipscomb and College Grove last year, before being fully implemented district-wide this year, a few years earlier than we had originally planned. The truth is, our teachers and staff are working harder than ever to deliver instruction to our 40,000 students. And when I say they're working harder than ever, this is why. Teachers are not only preparing for traditional on-campus learning, they must also prepare for remote learning, as they did for grades 3 through 12 to start the year, and for students who are in the health department quarantine. In addition, some teachers are also preparing for one or more WCS online courses that they are teaching this semester. One big change we've seen is that the volume of email communication has greatly increased from parents. There are so many questions out there that never existed in the past. We know that you can't replicate the classroom through an online platform. So our teachers are retraining to be able to adjust their lessons to any scenario. Yes, school may look a little different this year, but in many ways, it's very much the same. So, what does a classroom look like in WCS during a pandemic? Here's a glimpse.
4, 3, 2, 1. We just finished releasing the butterflies. We got to watch them from week to week. They mostly changed every single week. They were in chrysalises. We got to kind of see them get out of the chrysalises because there was like 1 when we got to school, and then there were like 8 when we left school. We got to see them fly everywhere.
We were just doing an express session. It was a STEM challenge, and we were trying to build the tallest tower that could hold a marshmallow. It was difficult at first, just because we didn't really know like much of what we were doing. But as we just tried things out, it came together.
So Uno's here, and then we're gonna make it like a TP thing. Just
The fingernail.
okay.
It will, and then support it.
You would have to layer it though.
And you will, and then you can tape it together. You can use some tape and exactly.
And then you'll tighten it right here.
So we were doing a lab where there was a murder, and so we had to use a bunch of our knowledge about pure substances and mixtures in the periodic table to figure out who murdered the person.
We had 4 suspects that we were trying to identify the one who killed the person.
It was fun because it was just hands-on. You got to use a lot of materials. You got to like talk. You got to have a lot of fun solving a nice crime. And then there wasn't really any stressful things.
And you are going to decipher Sumerian cuneiform.
Cuneiform is the first form of writing in Mesopotamia. It's the start of how they were learning to write.
But they're way different from this year's alphabet and this age's alphabet.
So it's straight lines with a triangle on top, kind of.
We would write it using our document that had the actual letters in today's alphabet and put it in cuneiform.
It says my name, Abigail.
That's my name.
It's hard work, but I could get used to it.
Some people think that history can sometimes be a little bit boring, but in Miss Hines Brown's class, it's really fun.
Do you think it was easy doing this?
No.
No.
After writing in cuneiform, I will never complain about writing in English again.
So we're basically going even deeper into our knowledge about drones and flying them and safety around flying them.
Down the road, everybody in the class, I think, is going to take their FAA pilot's license test, which allows us to make money flying drones for just mapping out property film, stuff like that.
It's really cool to be able to explore this industry or this newfound, still new technology at school, you know, learning about drones and how they're emerging into the world today. Yeah, it's really unique because it's just such a new technology that we're getting to learn right off the bat.
Well, we're doing like an animal project, and it's really cool. We get to dress up. We're doing a thing where we did a lot of research on an animal, and we have partners, and so we would do a lot of research, and then we would write it down in a packet. And then today it's like a wax museum thing, and where we're gonna dress up as our animal. We're presenting an animal. My animal is a tiger. You can do like a diorama or a poster board. I did a poster board, and it was a tiger. I'm a penguin, and that's why I have this on. I chose an African elephant because I didn't know much about them. Penguin because it's like my favorite animal. I drew a picture of a dolphin, and like that was the first time because I didn't really know what a dolphin looked like. But then I got on my computer and I searched it up. They weigh up to 600 pounds, and that's a lot of pounds.
School may look different this year, but we continue to work to improve and build empathy in our school communities. We've taken steps to improve race relations, and our schools have been empowered to make change to improve their school communities. That's been the case at Franklin High, where the decision was made this year to change the school mascot from the Rebels to the Admirals. A committee met and received input from a few thousand stakeholders. It became apparent that the mascot name was divisive in that community, and it was time for a change. We need to continue to grow in how we serve our diverse community. I've directed our staff to respond to every inappropriate race-based comment and action. It's one of my points of emphasis this year in our training and meetings with administrators and teachers, including teachers new to the district, that staff must be responsive. We know that we must continuously work with students, faculty, and staff to teach appropriate, respectful behavior and give appropriate discipline when incidents are discovered. And we recognize that this takes a continued daily effort. We're also concentrating on wise, reasoned professional development for our faculty and staff to grow in knowledge and empathy for our students. Despite all the changes, some things remain the same. Our students and staff continue to earn incredible honors and achievements. In September, Lipscomb Elementary was named a National Blue Ribbon School, making it the 13th time our schools have received this prestigious recognition. This year, we have 52 National Merit semifinalists, which happens to be the third straight year in a row we've had more than 50. Third year in a row we've had more than 50. Our graduation rate increased from 95.9% to 96.5%, which is well above the state graduation rate of 77.9. And the class of 2020 had $187 million in scholarships offered and more than $89 million in scholarships accepted, which I know makes a lot of our families very happy. Yes, school may look a little different this year, but our students continue to excel in all areas, not just academics, but athletics and the arts as well.
And they have to come in one way and go out the other way, and they have to sanitize when they come in. They have to wear their masks.
I have definitely missed not wearing a mask, and I've even missed school. It's just made me appreciate theater and all the extracurricular activities.
Dance party! Wow! People in the community can drive through and go by our students at different sections. We have like the trombone, the sanctuary, and the drumline enclosure, and fun names like that.
We had a bunch of lookalike high school students dress up as princesses and kind of send her off and give her gifts and virtual little hugs. It was just such an amazing experience to be able to be that person for her and to like, in all of like the pain and trouble they have, like to give her that little sense of joy.
wind it down any old way, just get it down. Hand me down my silver trumpet.
When they drag you down like morning memories. You look way better than your pictures.
Thanks. Oh, I guess you do too.
Thanks.
I'm Will Tobin, and welcome to your Independence News.
I am a junior in high school in Brentwood, Tennessee.
Thomas Day got to show the world what he was capable of when he was given the opportunity to perform on the popular talent show.
I was lucky enough to have a live audience.
So school does look a little different this year, but we are still the caring, innovative educational institution that we have been for years. We continue to grow. I am so proud of our teachers, staff, administrators, students, and parents for working hard, for adjusting to school during a pandemic. We have so much to celebrate, and we will continue to improve and grow as we face the challenges that lie ahead.
Putting students first. It's the #1 priority for Williamson County and Tennessee Tech University as we deliver education. Williamson County schools reign at the top of the state's report card, and Tech again ranks as one of the top national universities. Your students enjoy a low student-teacher ratio, and Tech delivers that same classroom experience. We share your passion for innovation and entrepreneurship education. And we believe our students can create jobs, not just interview for jobs. The payoff with a Tech degree is going into the job market with the highest early career salary for any public university in the state. Tech is surrounded by adventure, beauty, music, and art in a close-knit, safe community, just like you enjoy in Williamson County. Our students are known to be bold, fearless, and confident. Their skills come through problem solving, creativity, working with a team, and meeting needs in a competitive global marketplace. That's a mindset we share, and one that we want to share with your students. Tennessee Tech is excited about the future of higher education in Tennessee, and we are here to help Williamson County live wings up. In these unusual times, there's a clear message we want to leave with you and the rest of our great state about what you can count on.
You can't predict the future, but you can count on Tennessee Tech always putting students first. Our faculty, staff, and students have shown strength, compassion, patience, and kindness during these trying times. I'm a college president, and Carrie and I are also the proud parents of a Tennessee Tech student. We want every student to be treated as we want our own son to be treated. We understand today's challenges and put the focus on student success. For us, it's personal. That's what you can count on at Tennessee Tech.
The theme of today's event is what makes Williamson County resilient and uniquely suited to prosper in a post-COVID economy. One of the things that makes Williamson County resilient is the fact that we have a lot of diversity in our economy in the headquarters sector. We've got consumer products, we've got automotive, we've got healthcare, and there's great diversity overall in the national regional economy. In fact, 20% of all management jobs across the state of Tennessee are right here in Williamson County. And those headquarter jobs have transformed our economy, and those high-paying jobs have a ripple effect throughout our county and create the environment that encourages and serves the small business community. To say this has been a challenging time is both a cliche and an understatement. There is real pain in our community, in our region, and our country. I certainly don't want to minimize the impact COVID is having on our families, our hospitality industry, and our nonprofits as examples. Thankfully, there are some good signs for the Williamson County economy. Our current unemployment rate is 5.3%, more than 3 points better than the statewide unemployment rate and third lowest across the state of Tennessee. If you look at pre-COVID job growth across the country from March 2019 to March 2020, this is across the United States, Williamson County had the 12th highest job growth rate in the nation at 2.6%. The number of new business licenses filed since COVID was almost 500 at the end of July. And in fact, we've had 20 ribbon cuttings as an organization since COVID, with 8 in October alone. People are willing to take a risk for their business, and they're willing to take a risk on this community, and that's something we should all support. To help us understand where the U.S. economy could be headed over the next several years and how a community like Williamson County fits in that landscape, it's my pleasure to introduce Shannon O'Hare, Managing Director of Business Incentives Practice with Cushman and Wakefield. Shannon is a very well-known site location consultant, and she brings a unique perspective because she knows what companies are looking for in a community, and she gets to see firsthand how communities across the country are innovating to attract investment. Our Director of Business Recruitment, Nathan Zipper, had a chance to sit down with Shannon and talk about what she's seen across the country and what her clients are planning for post-COVID.
You've been in Williamson County, and as you well know, we have really become a destination for headquarters and operations centers, back office work. And so, as you might imagine, kind of the state of affairs for office is really, really important to us in our community. So can you talk a little bit about what you're seeing from an office market standpoint in the site selection process, and kind of where most of the activity is right now?
Sure. So as everyone can imagine, COVID has had multiple impacts, right? Number one, short-term health and safety. Number two, sort of the declining economy as a result, right? And then three, the third kind of big aspect we see impacting office site selection is, what does the future of the workplace look like, right? The health and safety concerns in the short term have, for a lot of our clients, rerouted investment, right? Clients are dealing with short-term urgent matters to try to get people back to work, back in the office, or have people stay in the offices, right? Yeah. So a lot of investment in, partitions in offices, automated bathrooms, things like that, right? Where in one office, it's maybe not that big of a deal or not that much of a spend, but if you have lots of offices throughout the country, lots of facilities throughout the country, and you have to make those investments on that scale, it can be significant.
Sure.
That has sort of a lot of the impact of that is placing urgent issues ahead of important issues, right? If a company is looking to site a new headquarters or an HQ2 or a new back office or invest in something like that, that kind of, a lot of that has gotten shelved to deal with the urgent matters and the urgent necessary investment that everyone's kind of working on now, right? So that's kind of the first thing we've seen. The declining economy is sort of similar. Most companies, their headquarters or their back office operations, that's not their revenue driver, right? Yeah. So investing in those sorts of operations right now we've seen a lot of that been put on hold or delayed because companies are worried about, okay, well, if I make this commitment and this investment now, I don't know what next year is going to look like. I don't know how quickly we're going to come out of this. I don't know. We don't know the unforeseen consequences long-term, right, of any of this to the economy. And so companies are nervous about making investments. They're more hesitant. Sure. And then the future of workforce. Nobody, saw this coming, right? Certainly pre-pandemic, there was a push to more remote working from home. But a lot of that was circumstance specific.
Okay.
See a lot of IT people work remotely, right? Or flexible schedules for families. But now that literally everyone or, you know, a lot of people have been working from home for 6 or 8 months now, people get used to that flexibility. So while a lot of people do want to go back to the office, there will probably be, we're anticipating there's going to be, you know, a push for flexibility in work environment as a perk, as a benefit to employees, right? So, and what does a new office look like, right? If companies are going to have to offer that work from home, what does their headquarters look like? How will that impact the space they need, where they want to be, right? Can this headquarters or an HQ2 or back office be anywhere? And then sort of the flip side of that, right, is how does a company maintain their culture or cultivate a culture when they're not with each other every day? So that's kind of the other side of the coin. I think a lot of the rhetoric early on was, oh, well, now everyone's just going to work from their house. Well, how is that really going to work? That's not really a solution either, right? It's going to be somewhere in the middle. But figuring out that balance is a big task. And we've got a lot of companies coming to us now to help them with that. And that's really kind of interesting. But this, you know, all of these items that's kind of sped up the future, right? Sure. People were kind of going in that direction, and now we're there with our technology that we have today. We don't all really need to be in the same place.
Sure.
Kind of juggling all these issues and priorities, it's been more difficult to make site selection decisions. So we've been seeing a lot of things being delayed or postponed, people taking a step back to try to figure that out.
Okay. And you mentioned this, and we talk about this a lot when a company looks at site locations. You know, they ask a lot of questions around workforce. They ask about schools. So, you know, now that we're in this, or we're moving toward, hopefully, this post-COVID world, are there other factors that you think are going to become even more important when companies start to look at a location? And I guess the second part of that question is, if you're coaching up a community to prepare for what's next, what would you encourage a community to really go all in on that are outside of the things that we know that they're important to companies when they're relocating?
Sure. Preparedness of government is, you know, pre-COVID, we would get a lot of questions about what's the tax structure, right? How stable is their tax structure? Does it change often? What are my incentives going to be like, right? And those questions will still be important. Okay. But the stability of government and government preparedness at the state and local level is something really, I mean, I had never had that issue come up before. Okay. And that's really something companies are asking now, right? How did they deal with this crisis? How prepared were they? How will they be prepared for whatever's next? How reliable is that government? And that's kind of pretty good answer for Tennessee, right? And pretty good answer for you locally. But those are the types of questions that we're getting from clients now that we haven't really gotten before. Another big one that we've been dealing with on the incentive side of things is the work from home. Do employees who are working from home count towards a company's job commitments, right? And if they, you know, or how can you structure it so that they would? So those are lots of questions we're getting kind of that hadn't really come up before. And then we're still getting the same, you know, is the labor available? If we're relocating, will people want to move there?
Sure.
Those types of questions, you know, and you know, you brought up schools, right? Well, are the schools in session? Can kids go to school? What are the COVID rates like? What have they been like? Is it a decline, or are they still growing? Are they seeing peaks and valleys, right? We're getting a lot of those questions, which, you know, health was really never on the docket prior to this, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's, you know, I've had a number of conversations with site consultants, and I've said, you know, all the things that made Williamson County a sought after place to be, those really haven't changed. Our commitment to schools, our commitment to creating a space people want to live, work, and play, those are all still things that we're 100% committed to. And so, we're hopeful for the future. You mentioned that you've spent some time here, so hopefully this is a bit of a softball question for you, but can you talk a little bit about how, based on what you know about us and about our community, in what ways do you think we're uniquely suited to thrive in this post-COVID world?
Sure. Yeah. And I think you're very well situated. Kind of going back to what I mentioned before about people not needing to be in the same space physically, that opens up the doors to a lot of companies who have been on the coasts, who are on the coasts historically, right? That were there because, well, that's where you are. You're on the coasts, right? So this understanding of not having to physically be in the same location opens it up to a larger geography, right? And if you're looking at items from a cost perspective, Williamson County is a lot less expensive than operating in New York or California or lots of, different places that are more costly. So now that you remove the physical location out of that equation, I think it will open the floodgates to new opportunities. You have a great combination of urban and rural, right? That you can walk that fine line and kind of give a company whatever they want out of that. And offer it at a lower cost point. I think we're going to see a lot of companies trying satellite offices at first. Maybe not the size of an HQ2, but a satellite. Let's test this out. Let's see if people want to move there. Let's see how many, what the talent pool looks like, and try to hire there. And then you're going to see that, I think, grow as the companies find success. So I think at first projects are going to be smaller because of the investment issues, right? I talked about before, but you're going to see that grow into the kind of larger projects you have historically been successful with.
Okay.
I think.
Well, Shannon, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. No, that's all.
Yeah. Well, we are so grateful for your time and your expertise today, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you in Williamson County again soon.
Great. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you.
Take care.
We set the stage from a national standpoint when it comes to the future of economic development. So now let's hear how Tennessee plans to compete in a post-COVID world. We're very fortunate with the strong partnership we have with the Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development. Under the leadership of Commissioner Bobby Rolfe, they've been a fantastic asset for Williamson County, Middle Tennessee, and for communities across the state. So it's my pleasure to introduce Commissioner for Economic Development, Bobby Rolfe.
Good morning, Williamson County. My name is Bobby Rolfe, and I have the great privilege of serving as our Department of Economic and Community Development Commissioner for the great state of Tennessee. On behalf of Governor Lee, I cannot tell you how proud we are that our state, although we've been through a very difficult pandemic, is open for business. And I say that to you, the 100 colleagues I work with every day, not only in Nashville, but across the state and across the globe, we remain open. And we thank you for a great partnership with Williamson County. As I think back through over the last 3.5 years, I cannot tell you how grateful I am for the partnership with Matt and Elizabeth and the entire Williamson County Economic Development team. I would also like to mention that we are so grateful for the large companies, the headquarter companies that call Williamson County home. When I think of those companies, I think of Community Health, and I think of Mars Pet Care, and I think of Mitsubishi, and I think of Tractor Supply, and of course, Nissan. Now you're going to say, well, why is that important? Well, it's very important because our state is known by the brands that call Tennessee home. And those are some of the great global brands. And for that, we are so grateful. And you're going to say, well, why Williamson County? Well, you know it best, and I can speak from personal experience. The last 3 companies that I worked for were all headquartered in Williamson County. I also went to school there, so I know exactly what the quality of life means, the quality of the education, the low taxes, the pro-business environment, And for that, we're so grateful. And we're grateful for a great recruiting partnership, again, with Matt and Elizabeth and the elected officials. And so again, I say welcome, although this is very interesting because it's another virtual gathering. Thank you again from the bottom of our heart and all 100 colleagues at ECD. Have a great virtual meeting. Cheers.
Our state has faced challenging times before. We've stumbled and we've fallen, yet we've continued to move forward. While the future is unknown, there's one thing we do know. Economic developers lead the way to economic recovery. With resilience and determination, we're ready to support our businesses and communities every step of the way. The success and evolution of Tennessee's businesses and workforce in this changing economy depends on us. Together, we'll work on the rebound, equipped with thoughtful strategies and new solutions. It's time for us to get back to business, to restart our economy and reclaim our future. Our comeback story starts today, and it starts with us. The path may be long and winding, but we'll walk it steadily and safely as we lead the way. Economic development is economic recovery.
Now that we've examined the current and future projected state of the economy from a national and statewide perspective, let's focus on Williamson County and start with one of our largest employers and best corporate citizens, Tractor Supply Company. I had a chance to sit down with their new president and CEO, Tennessee native Hal Lawton, and talk about his perspective on topics like the future of retail and the company's experience with work from home. So Hal, talk about the way Tractor Supply Company has supported your team members through COVID, through this pandemic.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Matt. And thanks for having me today. And I'm glad to be able to speak a little bit about Tractor Supply. And, you know, I'd start with first, as you mentioned, at the heart of Tractor Supply, at our core, our mission and values. And so we've really used our mission and values as our true north in terms of how we've responded to COVID-19. And early on, you know, we made a number of actions, providing sick pay for our team members. We then moved to things like appreciation bonuses to provide our team members. We moved quickly to acquire PPE and masks, as well as plexiglass for our cashiers, a number of those sorts of things. And then in the middle of June, we announced we were doing permanent wage and benefits changes. Every team member hourly in the company received at least $1 wage rate increase, some more than that. We announced that we were providing benefits to all of our part-time team members going forward. And we also are now providing restricted stock grants to our store managers as well as our distribution center managers. And this just really, all that's indicative of our team members are at the core of who we are. They're strategic in the way we go to market. We wanted to reinforce how important they are and also make sure we were taking care of our team members in the spirit of our mission and values during these very difficult and challenging times.
Well, thanks, Hal. I know that your true north has always been your mission and values. You have them posted in your store support center and you live those out too. So that's great to hear. It's exactly the kind of citizens, corporate citizens we want in our community. So during this pandemic, you actually announced you were hiring 5,000 additional team members. So talk about specifically hiring here in Williamson County in Middle Tennessee. Are you able to find the talent you need to the national region? And have you noticed an increase in job seekers from other parts of the country?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, we started the year with around 32,000 team members nationwide. We just crossed 40,000 team members last week. So we've hired almost 8,000 team members in the last 6 months, really to allow us to respond to these kind of elevated volume levels that we've been seeing. And some of those hires have absolutely been in at our store support center, continue to hire into our business and also in our store support center, even though everyone's working remotely right now. And we've been really pleased with the talent base that's in Williamson County, but also in the talent base that we've been able to attract in Williamson County. We recruit from a number of colleges. We also recruit a lot of external hires. And Nashville's on everyone's radar screen in terms of a city that they'd like to move to or would be open to moving to. And as again, also though, we found the existing, those who reside here now to be a great employment base as well, and an opportunity for talent. So really pleased with Williamson County and being located in Brentwood, and it's core of who we are.
Well, let's move from what you've done across the country to right here at your store support center and finish this conversation with talking about something that is definitely in the mind of everybody in business and people in their homes, is the idea of work from home and the work from home movement. So I'd love to hear, how has it impacted your store support center, and what in your view is the future of work from home?
Yeah, so we went work from home on March the 12th, and the original plan was for that to be a one-day trial. We would then assess at the end of the day, see how things went, and that would make us prepared and ready to get a permanent work from home or a long work from home as necessary. And then it went so well. The pandemic moved so much faster that we decided after that first day to just stay work from home. And we've been dominantly work from home since then. We have maybe 50, 60 people into the office a day right now, whereas historically we would have had about 1,200. We've made a lot of improvements in our store support center so that we can make sure when people do return, they return to an even safer and more healthy work environment. We've made it completely contactless. We upgraded our HVAC system with ionization. We've re-cubed it so that all cubes are 6 feet apart. And we're in the process of putting more stairways in. And then I think, we're very flexible on how this evolves moving forward. I certainly anticipate that we'll have a more flexible work environment. And then how that plays out, I think we'll have ongoing calibration on that with how's COVID evolving, what are the desire and wishes of our team members, and what's necessary to run the business. But I do very much expect that it'll be a hybrid approach as we move forward, as the world has changed versus where we were a year ago.
Great. Well, thanks, Hal. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us to talk about what Tractor Supply is doing through COVID, what you're planning post-COVID, and thanks for your great leadership for one of Williamson County's best corporate citizens.
Thanks for having me, Matt. I really appreciate it.
Thanks. Work from home, or more accurately, work from anywhere, has the biggest potential to change the economic landscape in our country and our county. To help us better understand the trend and what people are looking for with their new, more permanent home office, our Chief Community Development Officer, Brian Dolshell, sat down with local realtor, Misty Woodford of Daniel Christian Real Estate to talk about trends in the Williamson County housing market.
All right, well, thank you. Hey, I'd like to welcome Misty Woodford with Daniel Christian Real Estate and also on the board of directors for the Williamson County Association of Realtors. So Misty, thank you for being here today. And, I'd love to hear your take on the local real estate market. And, recently we've heard a stat that the National Association of Realtors put out that Williamson County ranks number 7th in the country for work from home locations and favorability. So talk to us a little bit about what you've seen in the real estate market, especially in terms of work from home.
Well, again, it goes back to the residential real estate and what that means for families. Williamson County has always been a great place that people are relocating to. But what we've seen in the last few months is that people are looking for more spaces they could be at home, not only one person working from a home office. We maybe have both adults in the home working at home, and then some of their children may be doing school at home. So what it's really done in terms of the resale market is resurrected the dining room. Over the last 3 to 5 years, people are like, well, why do people have formal dining rooms? I don't use that space. Well, now they're looking for homes that not only have a dining room, have a formal office, but even an extra bedroom or additional space that they can use from those work from home spaces. And it's made people take a different look at the open floor plan concept, because if 3 people are on a Zoom call, that's producing a lot of interference. So it's not really changed in terms of the transaction market, but what people are looking for in the homes and how they're using their homes. And, the biggest thing, I have people call me and be like, now that we've all been home 6 months, we've realized our house isn't big enough. So you've got some people that are looking to upsize their home to get them more space because we're home more than we've ever been.
What would you say some of the biggest factors of COVID has had on the real estate market? I know the inventory is low, especially on the residential side, but there's been a lot of movement within the market of people moving even from different areas.
Well, and again, it goes back to Williamson County consistently being one of the best places to live in the nation. We have a great tax structure. We have a great environment to work, live, and play. And you look at, several of these neighborhoods, it probably started, years ago with McKay's Mill, where you had your grocery stores, your restaurants, your daycares within the neighborhood. So it changed that structure of we can be home focused and be able to do all the things that we normally do. So we're still seeing a lot of people coming in from your California, your New York, your New Jersey, your Chicagoland areas where tax benefits here and small business benefits of working in Tennessee and Williamson County specifically make this area attractive. And they can buy so much more home here than they could in those areas. So while COVID did have an impact on our market, April, May, we were all trying to figure out how do we do business in this market. It slowed up the lending process. It slowed up the appraisal process, even closings of, are we essential business? Can we meet in person? So the transaction count, our year-to-date transaction count versus last year is just now keeping up. And as of the end of July, we were actually behind 2019 in transaction count. But what has not faltered and what has continued to increase even is our sales price. In August of 2020, our sales price was up 20% over August of 2019. That's a slightly inflated statistic because we had 14 homes that closed over $2 million in Williamson County. So we're not looking at a true 20% price inflation, but it's consistently outpacing inflation as a whole. So, if you buy your home, you're going to get your money back out of it next year, even with all your closing expenses. So it makes residential real estate still a good investment in, an election year and a pandemic year where other investments aren't necessarily attractive. And, you're looking at a 30-year, 15-year note, even you can get sub 3% on a mortgage. It's a really good time to invest in real estate. So our market has stayed strong.
And to your point of people moving from other places from out of town, it's work from anywhere anymore. It's not just work from home. So.
And that's what puts, you look at the neighborhoods like McKay's Mill and West Haven and Berry Farms, where you have coffee shops that you can meet clients and you have, access to the high-speed internet, you have access, restaurants, grocery stores, everything you need to do. So people don't necessarily ask me, are you working from home? I'll be like, well, can we meet at Coffee and Coconuts and Berry Farms, which is, less than 2 minutes from my house. So it doesn't appear that I'm not working. I'm just doing it in a different way.
Great. Thank you, Misty, for your perspective on that. In addition to attracting people from across the U.S. and the Northeast, Williamson County announced a company move pre-COVID from Manhattan, Thnks, a tech company that leverages the science of gratitude to help establish and build strong relationships through efficient, personalized, and thoughtful appreciation. Officially, they will open their new headquarters in downtown Franklin. Elizabeth McCreary, our Chief Economic Development Officer, worked that project and recently sat down with their CEO, Brendan Kamm.
Brendan, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you being here, making the time.
Excited to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. So before we get started, one of the things I wanted to do, I obviously know about Thnks at this point. We've used you guys and have been really excited to have you here. But can you explain a little bit to our group what Thnks is?
Sure. Our mission is really to grow business relationships using gratitude. So, we all ultimately choose to do business with people we like, and everyone likes someone who appreciates them. So really what we did was build a platform to make it incredibly easy to send small gestures of appreciation and do it digitally. So, if I walked into a Starbucks and saw you there, I'd buy you a cup of coffee every time.
Right.
Why aren't we doing that for our clients who might be in New York while we're in Nashville or in San Francisco? And so that was sort of the genesis of what we do. I can send you an Uber ride if it's raining, a bowl of chicken soup if you're not feeling well, all these little things that can really help strengthen a relationship and just help you say thank you.
Right. Now, talk to a little bit about the donation side of it, because I know I've been gifted some coffee and I support a couple charities and have sent it that way. So can you talk about that?
It's one of my favorite pieces. So every Thnks that's sent, the recipient can accept that item or they have the option to donate it to a charity. It gives a little more flexibility in what you might want to do. It also means as a sender, you don't have to worry too much. Did I get the right thing? It's about that thought and gesture. There's also compliance issues and things that happen with businesses. So it kind of covers off on all those use cases for our
Right,
clients.
absolutely. I love that. So we obviously met during your site selection process when you were moving or looking at moving to Williamson County. Talk to us about why you were leaving Manhattan. What was the thing that sparked that interest, and why Williamson?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, we were looking at culture. We've got a business based in gratitude and hospitality and thoughtfulness. And New York's a lot of great things, but those aren't necessarily the first things that come to mind in New York. So we were kind of outgrowing the space we were in. And we said, you know, we should look south. Maybe we can even save a few dollars over where we are. But south actually meant 14th Street at the time in Manhattan. And we kind of just kept going from there. We said, well, wait a minute, you know, what if it's not New York? And sometimes in New York, you get in this mindset of we just have to be here. So we said, no, let's really look south. Let's look at a place where our culture and values may fit even better. And so we did. We looked at a lot of different places. And the thing about Williamson is, you know, one, it's a place where you come and it's what more can we do? Where can we connect you? It's very open with business. Sometimes you show up someplace and it's more, well, here's the things you can't do and here's what we don't want you to be doing. And that feeling was really nice. Personally, the schools, the family focus of the area meant a lot to me. And as I started to learn more and learn from you guys, it's really easy to recruit people here. So it's not just that you've got these amazing schools in you know, Vanderbilts and Belmonts and Lipscomb. I mean, you've got people coming from Chicago, coming from Atlanta, and even more now, it seems, New York and LA. I mean, we brought almost our entire company down here, and people were not concerned with leaving New York. They were ready to come here once we started telling them about it. So all that kind of played into like, this is the place for us.
Right. Can you talk a little bit about some of the other communities that you were looking at and how we made the short list and then how we ended up making the final cut?
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to sort of the mix of the very hardworking, like I said, you can get people to come here from all over. The people who are here are highly educated. It's a very different feel than maybe some of the other places we looked at, where Savannah and Richmond and these just lovely cities, but not a destination. It's not, you know, the Nashville metro area.
Right.
And it just doesn't have that kind of same feel of what people are looking for. So I thought that made a tremendous difference. I also really like that we can be part of a community here. So you mentioned in our platform, we have these charitable donations. Well, we like to do that as a company, go out and, you know, go to a soup kitchen or help where we can. It felt like we could do that here. You know, we looked at bigger markets like a Charlotte or an Atlanta, and again, lots of great things there, but not that same, hey, we're gonna really be part of something and make a difference in this community if we join it. So I think that was a really nice thing that kind of added to our feeling about Williamson County.
Right, that's great. Well, thank you for joining us today. I know our team loved getting to know you and Thnks during the process. And if there's anything we can do to help you as you're settling in, let us know. But thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. The feeling's definitely mutual. I appreciate it.
It's not just large companies and relocating companies that fuel the Williamson County economy. It's also small, fast-growing companies like the company you're about to hear from. Once again, here's our Director of Business Recruitment, Nathan Zipper, who had a chance to speak with one of the fastest growing companies in the United States and the fastest growing company in the entire state of Tennessee last year, Williamson County-based Freightwise.
Chris, thank you so much for being with us today. Excited you're here. Let's just jump right in. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Freightwise?
Sure, thank you for having me. Freightwise is a Williamson County, Brentwood-based provider of transportation management application and services.
And tell me, why did you locate and start your business in Williamson County?
Well, I guess the short answer is because we live and work and play in Williamson County, so it felt like the natural area to start. It's been a great place to have a business because the support that we have around Williamson County has just been wonderful for employees. Everything from the convenience of the area, the talent and resource pool around, the safety that we experience on a daily basis, thanks to the local police department, and just also the growth environment that we're able to really foster is good in Williamson County.
Sure, and you've seen tremendous growth. Tell us a little bit about that over the last few years.
We have, yes, we've been very fortunate. We've worked hard, a lot of devoted employees, and we were named 2019, we were named the second fastest growing company by Inc. magazine. In 2019, we were also named the fourth fastest growing company in the Americas by Financial Times. And in 2020, we were named 142nd fastest growing company by the Inc. magazine, and we were also named Best Places to Work by the National Business Journal. So we've been fortunate. The wind's been at our back.
And all happening in Williamson County. We are so proud to have you all doing the work here.
It's happened with the support of Williamson County. When we were doing a site selection, Williamson County, we were engaged with you in the chamber, and you guys helped us to garnish public support and even a grant for our latest office build out. We're very thankful for that. So thank you for your help.
Absolutely. So with growth, you need to recruit, you need to hire. Talk to us a little bit about being able to get the talent that you need in Williamson County.
Sure, yeah. Recruiting talent's always a challenge for businesses. We've seen a lot of talent in Williamson County. There's many, high-end white-collar employers that have everything from back office skills, sales skills, and technology skills that we can kind of pull from. We feel like the area is ripe with the kind of talent that we need. Even when we need specific talent, that we're looking for really, really, really niche type people that are outside of Williamson County. They tend to be very open to relocation, and Williamson County is an environment to where it's always an advantage. It's never a negative for us.
That's great. So switching gears a bit, let's talk about how COVID has impacted your business. So how has it impacted? How have you innovated through it? And kind of what's your outlook as it stands today for the next, let's say, 5 years or so?
Yep. So COVID's challenging. It's been challenging in many different regards. As an employer, we had to put steps in place to protect the safety and the health of our employees. That was of utmost importance. Also, we had to make sure that we're doing the right things for our clients, because many of them had significant challenges imposed to them, including a few of them that were deemed non-essential by their states and completely shut down. So their logistics supply chain came to a pause or a stop temporarily. It posed many challenges for us and them. Freightwise is lucky that we are such a technology company that we were able to mobilize our employee base to work from home very quickly. And we did so at what we thought it was the right time. And then we've done a 4-stage approach to bringing people back in based on how hard it is to work from home, how much collaboration we need in the office, or personal health risks. Sure. So we've adapted through it. It's allowed us to push ourselves to a different shared service model. And it's allowed us to put technology in place that helps us serve our customers correctly, being a mobile workforce. It's been challenging, but we've seen a lot of positive impacts over, working remotely from our employees. And we have banded together in support of everybody, including our clients, to make sure that that Freightwise is a better company on the other side of this. So we're trying hard to make sure the outlook's positive.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you so much for being with us today, and thank you for doing what you do here in Williamson County.
Thank you for your support. Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you.
In addition to having fast-growing, innovative companies like Freightwise as part of our community, Williamson County has seen a number of new mixed-use developments become part of our built landscape. Places like Berry Farms, the planned Eastworks redevelopments in Cool Springs, the Alexander Farm property in Spring Hill, and the newest urban design development in a suburban setting, McEwen Northside, position Williamson County as a great place for investment now and in a post-COVID economy. One of those new companies willing to risk capital, hire people, and start a business is Just Love Coffee, a great new spot for coffee and breakfast at McEwen Northside. Elizabeth McCrary, our Chief Economic Development Officer, recently sat down with the owner of Just Love Coffee, former Tennessee Titan Keith Bulluck, to talk about what it's like to be part of one of Williamson County's newest developments.
Keith, thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate you being here. Thank you for your
Appreciate
time.
you having me.
First, before we really get started with the conversation, I wonder if you could tell us more about Just Love Coffee and how it got started and what your plans are.
Yeah, so Just Love is a local coffee brand that actually was started in Murfreesboro, Tennessee by Rob Webb. And he originally started out as a roaster, just roasting beans. And that turned into a coffee shop, and then a whole entire franchise of 15 to 16 stores right now across the Southeast. And, at the end of the day, it's about having great coffee. We also have food. Waffles is one of our staples, but a portion of the proceeds is donated to foster care and adoption, me being a former foster kid and Rob having 2 adoptive daughters. So that's what really attracted me to this local Nashville business.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I love that. What about McEwen Northside? What attracted you to that specific location?
It's new. I think, honestly, it's going to be one of the best places to come with your family, friends, to hang out, to do a whole bunch of things. You got, it's a mixed community where they have businesses upstairs. And then you have, right now, it's just Love, Tiff Treats, Jenny's Ice Cream, Pros Nail Salon, and the Pilates studio. But a Perry Steakhouse is coming, a hotel. So, you know, we're the first ones to take the challenge on and coming into the new build out. But, you know, there's a residence next door as well, McEwen Northside, and you have the Dwell. So it's one of those newer built-in multi-living spaces, kind of like similar to the Gulch downtown. But I think, you know, in a couple of years, ours were kind of, you know, be a little better than the Gulch.
Right, right. It does kind of sound like you could do a mini vacation and just never leave McEwen Northside.
Hopefully, we'll see. I mean, look, it's a walkable community. I feel, you know, the Boyle community, they do a great job of, you know, making all the tenants of their properties feel comfortable, being able to use that communal space to have any type of activations, charity, or, you know, joint community events.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we're all excited. Our office will be in the building as well. And we're excited to be next door to Just Love Coffee. I joked the other day, having Jenny's Ice Cream, my daughters are definitely going to want to come visit.
Oh, yeah, my daughters are there all the time.
Right,
all the time,
right. It's a great outdoor space. It really is.
Sure.
Yeah. So you opened that new location in the middle of this pandemic. What's that been like?
It's been a challenge. It definitely has. You know, we were supposed to open way back in April, but, you know, the pandemic hit in March. So we just kind of sat around, me and my wife, Heather. We didn't know really what to do, but we still had to pay rent. And we had things in motion already because we were so close to opening back in March. So we just decided to gradually open our doors once, you know, the COVID situation, the COVID guidelines were kind of giving more, I guess you would say, you know, more adherence. So once we figured that part out and Williamson County started to open up a little bit, we just, you know, opened our doors and just wanted to be there for the community, really. Couldn't do much advertising. I didn't know how you advertise during a pandemic. You know, there was no grand opening. So we just, you know, opened our doors like the nail salon and the Pilates studio. And then Jenny's came a couple months later, and people are slowly but surely moving into the mixed living situation. So, you know, we're liking it, but it's been tough. It's a challenge. I would say not a lot of consistency yet, but you know, our guests that have come, you know, to Just Love, you know, and they come consistently, we love them, and we really, really, really appreciate them.
Sounds great. It really does. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I know we're all looking forward to getting to be over there and in that space and in the building with you. So thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, absolutely.
You are here today because of the entrepreneurial spirit and deep love of community from our next guest, my friend and founder and owner of AP Live, Tom Atema. Tom sat down with our Chief Community Development Officer, Brian Dolshell, to talk about Franklin's newest amenity, the Field at Franklin.
All right, well, thanks, Tom, for being here today. You spoke at our First Friday program for small business last year, where you talked about your book, The Failure Myth, which is an intentional strategy that will take you anywhere. And at that time, we talked to you about leadership, and you had wrote in your book that as a leader, you're a unique position to lead by example. And if you're not getting better as a leader, you can't expect anyone who you lead to get better. That's a lot of responsibility on your shoulder. Tell us a little bit about your leadership strategy and your business.
Yeah, so thanks for having me. My leadership strategy is very much about hiring the right people to do the job and trying to let them do it. And I would say that when COVID-19 hit, and we operate in the live events industry, so it's been closed since the beginning of March, that it's been really hard not to dive into the management and get out of the leadership into management. And I find myself a lot getting into the management and getting into things I shouldn't be doing as a leader of the organization, but almost dealing with the crisis and dealing with the number of decisions and the urgencies of stuff that come in. Because as you know, I said, I'm in the live event industry and we've been hit really, really hard. We've had to downsize our staff significantly. We're less than half of what we were before in staff. Our revenue is down over almost 75%. We're not expecting it to come back until the middle or this time next year. So it's hard. It's trying to survive. And one of the big things I pushed out to our staff was that, yes, we want to survive this, but we also want to be better and more collaborative because of it. And that's been our mantra through this, is that we will do what we need to do to survive, but we will be better, more collaborative because of that. And we will continue to be who we are, which is, you know, an organization that does things really well.
Great. And you because of getting hit so hard in the live event industry, you pivoted your business, for, you know, lack of a better term. And here we are sitting at the field in Franklin. Tell us a little bit about how this came about.
Yeah, this was a cool idea. I'm glad y'all are come out to this. This is the Field at Franklin. This is an idea that we had to save some jobs. So we had all this equipment, we had all this stuff sitting around with no use. So what can we do? What can we do that not only gives back to the community, but also helps save jobs? So that's why we created the drive-in venue that y'all are at today.
That's great. And how's the response been from the community?
It's been amazing. I mean, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know whether it would work or not. I didn't know whether you created something that does movies or corporations can buy out, that people would accept it or not, but it's been amazing. The social interactions it's blown me away. It's pretty incredible.
Thank you for hosting us here today. For sure, this has been a phenomenal venue and experience for all of us. And for those of you that are here that have not been to the drive-in movie, come on out and check out the Field at Franklin. So thanks, Tom.
You're welcome. And I will say it definitely plays into what we do, right? And how we do it, because even if you want to come to a movie, it's pay what you can. There is not a set fee. I'm trying to do things that, yes, save jobs for us, but also give back to the organization. I think that's a really important thing of being in Williamson County, is that we care about each other in this county. We want everyone to succeed, even those that are hurting. We still want to help people, because there's probably people that are hurting more than we are. So I think that's an important thing about being here and doing business here.
Yeah, this is just a phenomenal community, as we all are aware of. And we just thank you, Tom, for your leadership, not only to your company, but just your leadership here in our community. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Brian.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.
COVID radically changed the way we dine out and shop. The big questions in the restaurant and retail industries are: what has COVID changed permanently? What trends has COVID accelerated? And what will go back to normal in a post-COVID world? Recently, I sat down with one of the foremost retail experts in the country and former Nashville resident, Lacy Beasley, president of Retail Strategies, to talk about the future of retail nationally and her perspective on Williamson County. Well, thank you, Lacy, for being with us today. I greatly appreciate it. Start by talking about the state of retail in general, based on your experience. Do you think COVID will accelerate trends in retail, or fundamentally change the way we eat, shop, and experience, or maybe a little bit of both?
Well, Matt, it's always so much fun to talk about retail, because we all consider ourselves retail experts, right? We all shop, we all eat, therefore we're experts. But there's a lot more to it than meets the eye. Retail is the most dynamic and fastest changing of all the commercial real estate sectors. And there certainly is the case this year. So what we're seeing is a bifurcation of retail. And it's really those brands that already had an omni-channeling presence? Did they figure out how to incorporate their online sales model with their brick and mortar model? And what is that doing moving forward? It's brands and how over leveraged they may have been in debt. And ultimately it boils down to the brands that are most consumer centric. Those are the ones that are really winning. So you can't overarchingly just say a sweeping statement about whether retail is doing well or not right now. There are some brands that are doing great and there are others that are really challenged. But ultimately what we're seeing is it certainly is an accelerator to your question. We're seeing things happen over the past 7 months that in a natural life cycle would have taken 4 to 5 years to come together. So it's not that retail is dead, but I would argue that boring retail is dead.
Okay. What's that number one trend you're seeing accelerated? You mentioned it going from 5 or 6 years to just a few months. What's the number one thing you've seen accelerate through COVID?
Number one is the way the brands are looking at how you can shop through your mobile phone. And restaurants are certainly the ones most focused on that. I think we're going to see some long-term effects in the real estate on the restaurants. So you look at brands such as Shake Shack, they're incorporating a drive-through now, which is new to them. You look at Chipotle with what they're doing with their double-sided lockers and the delivery of food, the curbside pickup. You look at Chick-fil-A and how you can order on the app, you pull up to the stall and then they bring it to you. You're going to see a lot more of that with the restaurants. So the biggest lasting change is going to be with restaurants. This year, one of the largest changes we saw, which it's yet to be determined whether this lasts beyond the pandemic or not, is online grocery sales. So the categories that are really doing well right now are grocery, it is general merchandise, and home improvement. That's another thing. As we have stayed home, then we worked on all those home improvement projects. And really, you know, what we're finding is the rural communities are doing much better than they expected in sales tax collections because people are staying at home. So some of the things with work from home, those are really impacting the way we shop. And it's yet to be determined which elements of those consumer shopping patterns that changed will be long lasting.
Okay, that's great. You touched on the mobile piece of it. And when you and I prepared for this presentation, we talked about online shopping. I don't think people realized how small a percentage online shopping was pre-COVID. You hear about the Amazon effect and it destroying brick and mortar retail establishments, but that really isn't the case. So talk about how much online shopping has and how much online shopping will change retail in the United States.
Well, absolutely. So fourth quarter of 2019, then online shopping was only 10% of overall retail sales. That's the US Census Bureau number. What is a shocking stat is that now it's at 16%. So we saw more growth in 2020 for online sales than we saw in the previous decade. So online shopping is here to stay. It's critically important for each brand to incorporate their online sales strategy. And that's what's really forcing innovation with a lot of these retailers. And what we're probably going to see long lasting is it's going to be kind of a natural pruning of brands and real estate, of the brands that didn't keep up with that consumer shopping pattern of shopping online and incorporating it with their brick and mortar location. It's still shocking to say only 16% of overall retail sales are conducted online. I think most people you ask would assume that that number is far higher.
Right, that's certainly what you would be led to believe with the headlines for sure. So Lacy, I know
the retail apocalypse headlines have been dominating mainstream media over the last 5 years, and it's really online sales are not the death of brick and mortar, but they are changing it.
Right, for sure. Yeah, that's great to hear. So I know you're familiar with the Nashville market. You had lived here for a time. So Lacy, based on what you know of Williamson County, how can we position ourselves best to continue to grow our retail base?
Well, it's all about thinking about your dollar, and your dollar is your vote. So it is shopping local in the brick and mortar locations that are right there in Williamson County. You know, you look at the Cool Springs area, and there are very low vacancies compared to the rest of the country. There is a lot of support. There's financial support, there's disposable income, and a lot of retail brands really want to be in Williamson County. And that's because you're supporting them locally. You're such a regional draw. And I would just encourage you to keep that up. You know, what I would really encourage the most is you think about those restaurants, those high-end restaurants, those chef-driven restaurants, casual dining, the local restaurants. And those are the ones that are most challenged right now that really need your support. So I'd encourage you to go spend as much money as you can with those restaurants. And if it's not something where you want to eat out every night of the week, think about the holiday season coming up and how you can buy gift cards and just really help with that infusion of cash in those concepts and those local restaurants that you want to see last past this pandemic. You know, I think there's probably a lot of questions about malls across the country. And I do want to reassure you in Williamson County, the Cool Springs Mall will remain open. It will continue to be a great shopping hub. It is like a jet fuel to all the other retail in that area. And it creates a lot of retail synergy. So malls across America are really changing. And it's the A malls, the super regional malls that are doing well, that will last, such as the Cool Springs Mall. It's the B and C malls that really are challenged. So again, it gets back to that idea of the mainstream media and all these news headlines you see. It's not always the case. It's not a sweeping statement that's true for the whole country. So you're doing a great job in Williamson County. It is such a strong, dominant retail hub. And I just want to encourage you to continue to be business friendly as you've done so well in the past, and encourage the whole community to really shop local and spend your dollars in the local brick and mortar.
Great, Lacy. Thank you for that. And as we close today, I know there are a lot of people watching this online, a lot of people watching this live at the Field in Franklin, and they have one specific question. What will it take for Williamson County to finally get a Trader Joe's?
You know, every community in America asks me that same question. So I go back to say your dollar is your vote. Prove that they can be profitable in Williamson County. Shop at the Trader Joe's that you have in the region, and shop at your local grocery stores and just prove that you're going to support them when they open in Williamson County.
Great. All right. Well, Lacy, thank you so much for taking the time to be here today. Thank you for your perspective around retail. I greatly appreciate it. And I'm sure we'll be talking soon.
Thank you, Matt. Have a great day.
Yeah, thanks, Lacy.
Isaiah is outgoing, boisterous, stubborn, typically a fun person to be around. He was very fatigued. He had a fever, coughing. We initially went to the urgent care. They looked at him for 10 minutes and they decided that he needed to come to Williamson.
He was the sort of poster child for coronavirus. When he came to the hospital, he was placed on oxygen, and then within about 12 to 24 hours, his oxygen needs went way up.
I had no idea that it would progress the way it would.
Within 24 hours of him coming to the hospital, he was put on a ventilator. I heard his voice, and then the next time I heard his voice was almost 2 months later.
Isaiah was here for 53 days. We didn't know if he was going to leave.
When he first came in, he was very, very, very sick. Just laying in a bed and relying on us to take care of him, to turn him, to feed him, to bathe him, to comfort him. To watch somebody so young struggle was really hard for all of us. Moving him out of the COVID unit into the regular ICU was huge for us.
It was interesting to see him process kind of how sick he'd been and how long he'd been there.
Of all the things that he wanted during his 2-month hospitalization, he was desperate for a banana.
He wants his banana.
We were all so invested in his success.
Because we couldn't come up to be with him, they even used their personal devices to allow us to FaceTime when he got to a place where we could actually talk to him.
Take your time, slow and steady.
It was great for us to have an opportunity to see him and to see that he did look like he was progressing.
We put so much work and heart and soul into him. You know, Isaiah became part of our family here at Williamson.
On the day he was going to be released, it was really cool to see everybody get the opportunity to say bye to him.
I just remember so many staff members surrounding him, and we had signs for him, and it was truly one of the best moments of my life.
To see him get to see his family again and hug his daughter and his partner and just the whole experience, it was really touching.
To the team, I would just like to say thank you. Thank you for loving him. Thank you for loving us and just caring enough about us. Nurses and doctors and people in the healthcare field do what they do because they want to help people. But this team has gone above and beyond anything that I could have ever imagined.
So far, we've heard from a number of experts in their fields and large and small locally based businesses about the current state of our economy and learned some of the reasons why Williamson County is a great place for continued investment. What makes our economy truly resilient is the leadership of our county and the decisions made 30 years ago that are paying off today. 30 years ago, our county leadership decided to build our economy on the strength of our schools and create what will become a magnet for corporate headquarter investment along the I-65 corridor. No one personifies leadership more than our next presenter, Williamson County Mayor Rogers Anderson. He's a great mayor and an even better man, and I'm honored to call him a friend and a mentor. Here is Mayor Anderson with his annual State of the County address.
Without a doubt, everyone watching is looking for news that does not include information in regard to the national COVID-19 pandemic. However, it's difficult to deliver a message to you about what is happening in our county without addressing how this pandemic has drastically changed our day-to-day operations. Without a doubt, it has also increased the need for digital mobilization in government. Factor into the unknown effect on the local revenue sources, more specifically, our sales tax, which supplies the majority of our local revenue to our county general's purpose school funds needs. We're going to break this talk down into different acts. And so Act 1, each February, Williamson County typically begins this process for establishing the next fiscal year budget for consideration by the commission in July. This year was no exception. Elected and appointed officials, department heads, school personnel were well on track in projecting their budgets, and then the month of March came along like a line. On March 13th, 2020, President Trump issued a proclamation declaring a national emergency concerning the COVID-19 outbreak. Suffice to say that business as usual was no longer normal, and everyone had scrambled to determine the who and the what and the when and where of learning new ways to do what we were accustomed to doing. It became apparent the county officials and the department's head would need to reevaluate our planned expenses and submit a proposed 2020-21 status quo budget reflecting no increases. Like each of us, our school superintendent, Jason Golden, and his staff worked diligently to make proposed budget revisions, planning for an increased student population, yet maintaining a minimal budget increase. As you can see on the pie chart, Williamson County's revenues are 73% derived from the local tax sources, which for Williamson County is sales tax, revenue, property tax. While we're speaking of revenue, I'm proud to report that Williamson County government won the lawsuit filed by the members of the Home Builders Association challenging the authority to enact the educational impact fee. The home builders appealed the court ruling to the Tennessee Supreme Court for a hearing. Recently, we learned that the Supreme Court has denied the request to hear the appeal. With this decision, approximately $17.3 million collected from their respective builders, which has been held in escrow, are now available for eligible capital expenses. Why is that important for you? As you may be aware, these fees are paid at the time of a building permit when it is issued. Since the impact of the educational impact, which started in March of 2018, in our county was collected a total of $60 million. New residents are helping to pay for the needed capital expense without the need to place additional financial burdens on existing residents. With everyone's cooperation, the new fiscal year budget totaled $629 million, and it was approved at the County Commission during the July electronic meeting. The chart illustrates the breakdown of the expenditures reflected in the current year budget. Because all sources of revenue are important, I encourage each of you to complete the 2020 brief census survey if you've not done so. Many do not understand that the population statistics derived from the information is relative to various state and federal funding resources, and they're available to the county and each of our cities. Several of you here today served on the 2020 Census Count Committee under the oversight of our Community Development Director, Joe Horn. I appreciate the time and the energy and the dedication that you provided in helping to spread the word about the importance of the census for our community. With your help so far, Williamson County is currently a shy under 80% participation rate. This is great response rate, though it still means we have about 20% that still need to be counted. Our budget preparations was not the only operational procedure that needed to be addressed. Once Governor Lee issued a stay-at-home order, there was a need for each department of government to look at how best to continue to serve our public in a safe and an effective manner. No longer were governmental entities open for business as usual. Just a sign of the times. If you visit the administrative complex now, you will see a number of new procedures that we've put in place, and they're evidenced by the numerous signs of the times, but in place trying to be helpful, although they are sometimes a bit overwhelming. One sign that is missing that could probably be the most helpful would be the sign that lets everyone know that there are self-service kiosks in our Recs and Parks Department, as well as the administrative complex. That allows you to renew your car tags with no waiting. As more people have been working from home, there has been an increase in spring cleaning throughout the county, and our household solid waste has increased substantially. Either that or we have a bunch of trashy people living in our county. In all seriousness, though, the amount of household trash hauled away from our convenience centers has increased nearly 30% since the 1st of April. Last year, we announced a revision in the county's recycling programs that introduce recycling only plastics 1 and 2. We want to thank all of you who are participating. This recycling program that we're doing is diverting tons of waste from our county's landfill annually and provides a very marketable commodity. Our solid waste personnel under the direction of Nancy Zion has been inundated with increased numbers of trips to our convenience centers. As critical infrastructure, they have worked throughout this pandemic, and I want to thank them for their due diligence, working with the public and taking every possible precaution to keep everyone safe. So let's go into Act Two. I want to journey through some of the timeless recent months. March 5th, Tennessee Department of Health announced the first confirmed case of COVID-19 in Tennessee. Governor Lee issued an executive order, number 14, declaring a state of emergency in Tennessee to facilitate the treatment and the containment of COVID-19. As all of you know, we typically take pride in Williamson County for being first. But this is one time where I would rather us not have been on the leaderboard. March 18th, Williamson Medical Center discontinues scheduling elective surgeries. Just a few days later, March 22nd, public safety emergency operations centers were activated to a level 3 monitoring for all of Williamson County. April the 2nd, Governor Lee issued an executive order, number 23, requiring Tennesseans to stay at home except for essential services and activities. May the 4th, Williamson Medical Center resumed scheduling elected surgeries. July the 3rd, Governor Bill Lee signed in Executive Order 54 to grant county mayors in 89 counties the authority to issue local mask requirements in the event of a significant rise in COVID-19 cases. July the 6th, the local mandate was enacted. About 60 days later, on August the 29th, the local mandate was retired or expired. However, government officials have encouraged the continuation of mask wearing, social distancing, washing those hands. Masks are still required in government buildings and in some private businesses. Throughout this pandemic, I could not be more proud of the emergency management team under the direction of Todd Horton, who activated the emergency center. He's overseeing this unbelievable task. He's implementing new orders, processing, task handling from the federal level, the state level, as well as assisting local governments, our officials, agencies, and staff in obtaining grant funding, supplies, and our much needed information on a daily basis. You know, local health director, Kathy Montgomery, everyone had not heard her name, and her staff were directed by the state health department to begin administering free COVID-19 testing to anyone wishing to be tested. The testing site was established at the health department on West Main, next door to where you get your car tags, as well as the Fairview location. It was not long until we realized the West Main Street location was not sufficient and the need for additional space for this testing was sought. Working with our Ag Expo Park Director, Kenny Wallace, and his team members, the interior of the Ag Park was set up as a drive-through COVID testing site. And with the aid and the assistance of Sheriff Rhodes and his team of deputies, the drive-through has worked very well for not only our citizens, but throughout Middle Tennessee region who has been interested in getting tested with the ability to maintain social distancing and remaining in their vehicles. Since the 1st of April through mid-September, over 14,500 tests have been administered by our local departmental staff members and assistance from the state and the National Guard. Understand, this test does not represent the number of tests which have been completed by the private business side. Due to the COVID pandemic, staff members in our 911 dispatch have also had to adjust their typical call questions. Dispatchers now include a series of health questions to callers that were not typical before March of this year. Though the caller may not understand the reasoning for the question, the response are needed for first responders to be better informed upon arrival in an effort helping to minimize the spread of the virus. Williamson County residents can be proud of their locally owned hospital, Williamson Medical Center. Throughout this period of time over the last several months, our COO, Julie Middle, and our Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Andy Russell, have kept open communication with all county officials with regard to the patient census numbers, the modifications that are being made to existing patient rooms, the many changes to the critical care, and the supplies of personal protective gear are all stocked for the health and safety of not only the patients, but the staff members and us as a community. Throughout this pandemic, I have been on weekly calls with health officials, the professionals, the personal safety personnel, attorneys, elected, appointed officials, city mayors, managers, and collectively we have shared the best operating practices in an effort to optimize the health and the safety of our individual workforces. And we've streamlined government operations for our citizens. I want to publicly acknowledge the guidance and the counsel of the county's legal team. Lisa Carson and Jeff Mosley have been on just about as many electronic meeting calls as I have, and together they have been a constant source of information and legal advice as we face new policies and procedures handed down from the federal and the state government. You know, before mid-March of this year, the closest thing to a WebEx or a Zoom meeting or FaceTime that I knew about was when I had the opportunity to FaceTime with my son and his family in Texas. However, during this past 6 months, the electronic meetings have become the new normal, and I have been involved in over 250 electronic calls in the last 5 months. Though the computer screen meetings have been extremely helpful in joining for meetings and avoiding traveling so much, we are aware that there's no replacement for the in-person handshake, and that may be a new elbow or the opportunity to spend time together and building those face-to-face relationships. Under the authority of the governor's executive order, our county commission and the county and all their committee meetings have been done electronically since the inception of the stay-at-home order that was issued in April. As different as it is, the new process has worked very well thus far. The county's public education programming channel, WCTV, has increased live streaming services provided from about 50 in 2019 to 121 thus far in 2020, and we expect to exceed 175 by year end. They have been an incredible and an integral part in continuing to provide the live coverage of our county meetings. The director, Creed Henderson, and his team are to be commended for ensuring that broadcasting services are available and accessible to our residents. And we recently surpassed 7,500 subscribers on our WCTV YouTube channel. With the halting of the normal storytime events at our public library, Williamson County has produced over 60 virtual story times for kids and parents to enjoy, including one we're very proud of, the First Lady, Maria Lee. But as they say in the movies, the show must go on, and at a county growing like ours, projected to be in excess of 500,000 people by the year 2045, it is a really big show we deal with. Williamson County has partnered with the energy and sustainability expert and our neighbor, Schneider Electric, over the last 2 years to modernize our county infrastructure as part of our broader commitment to becoming a leading community in energy efficiency and sustainability. Under the oversight of our county's property manager, Kevin Benson, and his staff, 20 county buildings at 11 different sites have been receiving major upgrades to the administrative complexes, which was built in 1957 under the Hill-Burton Act and is served as our Williamson County Hospital has undergone quite a transformation. As one of the main service centers for our community, we often refer to it as the flagship, the mothership. This partnership allows us to address significant maintenance needs to improve our facilities and provide the best experience for our citizens when they visit these locations. The project not only gives the building a facelift with new exterior coating and windows, but it provides interior and exterior lighting systems, comprehensive HVAC designs and replacement. It was our goal to find a partner with a solution to address these comprehensive needs in the best way possible. These upgrades enable the saving of tax dollars with new state-of-the-art technologies for efficiency and technology and energy, and will reduce the county's energy and the operational spend by 28% and allow us to maximize those existing funds to address additional county priorities. Another outcome of the pandemic has been the desire for people to just get outdoors. Parks and Rec Director Gordon Hampton and his staff have worked diligently to open the first county mountain bike park. Located on Wilkins Branch Road, this park is open daily from 8 a.m. to sunset, weather permitting, and it's a public-private partnership with outdoor encounters, currently consisting of 30 developed acres of hilly terrain. The park features approximately 4 miles of loops and trails for beginning and experienced mountain bike enthusiasts. In total, the Wilkins Branch Mountain Bike Park consists of 146 acres, and that will be completed in some additional phases as we go down the road. In the spring, rural residents in the southern part of the county will begin construction activity and see a new community center on Bethesda Road. This facility will include a new senior citizen, a branch of our library, a new gymnasium, pickleball courts, and soccer fields. All of this is tentative set for spring of 2022 opening. The project will provide recreational activities for our youth and our seniors in that growing part of our county. You know, speaking of business as unusual, more often than not, when I attend regional meetings, collaboration between cities and counties seems almost non-existent. Not the case in Williamson County. Earlier this year, Williamson Medical Center and the city of Spring Hill entered into agreement which allows our emergency medical service team to provide ambulance services for the residents within the Spring Hill. Later this year, our residents will have a new ambulance station located within the city of Franklin's new fire station, adjacent to the Ag Park. And in the spring of next year, on the north side of our county, we'll have a new ambulance station located in the new police headquarters in Brentwood on Heritage Way. I'm proud to say that the city and the county partnerships are not unusual for Williamson County. It is rewarding to serve in an area where collaboration of services are more usual than in an effort to provide needed services to better serve our residents. Next year, our furry, four-legged friends will enjoy some much-needed room to roam. Groundwork has already begun off from Carlisle Lane, adjacent to the new McEwen Parkway extension, which is under progress, for the new Williamson County Animal Center. This has been about a 3-year process we've gone through just in the planning, and the dreaming has added another 2 or 3 years. The current facility, constructed in the mid-90s, was an award-winning facility at that time. However, the current facility restrictions continue to limit what the staff can offer the community in terms of services. When this new facility is completed, it will include a community room, which will be used for educational purposes in an effort to engage the public with informational meetings on animal-related topics. While it is our goal to be a model shelter, we are aware that the issues facing our animal population cannot be addressed without also serving and educating the residents of this county. Let me stop here a minute and just indicate how pleased I am with our shelter and how they're able to save so many of our animals getting them back out into the different areas, the different groups, the adoption side of it. Our save rate is in excess of 96%. There will be some happy pitter pattering of little paws when the facility opens in late November of 2021. But I assure you, no smile will be brighter than that of our director, Andrea Johnson, and her staff, and the many dedicated group of volunteers. They've all made the best of a dated facility, crowded hallways, minimal spacing, while still providing outstanding service to our county. We're very fortunate here in Williamson County to have a nonprofit friends organization who recently donated $1.4 million to the completion of this project. Their contributions will provide for enhancements to the facilities that were not originally included in the project budgets. Actually, they kept us from cutting it. I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to our first responders. No words seem adequate to express our sincere appreciation to the brave men and women serving, law enforcement, emergency medical personnel, healthcare professionals, the sheriff's office, volunteer fire, emergency management, and others. It seems that the world is a little bit harder, gets harder every day. But today, in our modern times, you are a hero, and we thank you, each and every one. Let's not forget our veterans of all the branches. We're grateful for your sacrifice, your bravery, and the example you set for all of us, including those men and women who are currently serving and sacrificing their life for our freedoms on foreign soils, as we know that freedom is not guaranteed. Our Williamson County Veteran Service Officer is Jeff Vaughn. He has an office in the administrative complex, and in the last 9 months, over half of it during the COVID period, he's established 77 new veteran clients. He's packaged up 194 claims and filled out over 460 forms for our veterans. If you know a veteran who may need assistance, please encourage him to reach out. Let him see how we can be of help to him. You know, rest assured, Williamson County is also in the business of saving money. One positive aspect of the national pandemic has been a reduction in the interest rates. With sound budget practices and the approval of the Board of the Commissioners, Williamson County recently issued new bonds to save taxpayers' money, very similar to what we have seen in the private side, that people are refinancing their mortgages. The county's budget director, under the leadership of Nina Graham, has worked diligently with our financial advisor, Sam Cruz, who's with Stevens, to keep tabs on the county's outstanding bonds. In April, we issued $21.5 million in refunding bonds with an average interest rates of less than 1%, which will result in over $2 million savings over the next 10 years. Then on the last day of September, just a few days ago, we refunded $67.5 million with an average interest rates of 1.37, which is going to save us nearly $9 million over the next 14 years. It's important that our residents know that Williamson County continues to retain our AAA bond rating, coupled with a strong fiscal management and conservative budgeting process. The bond rating ensures that we are eligible for the lowest or the lower of the interest rates and solidifies and indicates that we're paying our bills. These interest savings are not small change. And speaking of change, the one thing that remains constant is that change is inevitable. While facing our numerous growth opportunities, you may recall last year we touched on the J master plan to study and look at changes needed for our juvenile services, jails, or judicial system growth requirements. This completion of the study was recently shared with the board of our county commissioners, and over the next 5 to 6 years has an estimated price tag of over $281 million. Although addressing the juvenile service needs is the first priority of this project, the plan addresses facility growth needs for all these entities throughout the year of 2040. The next step to be done in this process is hiring an architect who will then begin the construction drawings. In closing, you should be proud of how your elected, your appointed officials, the department heads, and each of their respective staff members have worked collectively and individually to provide the services as efficiently as possible while ensuring the health and the safety of all of our residents. As we each enter into a normal way of doing business as unusual, I want to encourage each of you to wash those hands, wear those masks, and practice social distancing for the good health of all of us. May God bless you, your families, and this great county we've all come to love and call home. Thank you.
As you heard this morning, we have many reasons for optimism, and I can't think of anywhere in the world I'd rather be than in Williamson County during these incredibly challenging times. I want to take a few minutes and thank everybody for being a part of the program today. I want to thank all of our presenters, all of our sponsors that made today's event possible. I also want to encourage you to shop locally, support our local restaurants, and support fellow Williamson Inc. members. Most importantly, please be kind to each other, show grace, compassion, and humility in every single one of your interactions. Thank you for your continued investment in Williamson County, and thank you more than ever for your continued investment in Williamson Inc.